Good morning. Mark Putrino's institutional trading research starts now. Mark, hope you like this intro. Listen, I had to do that this morning. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the 20th of May. I'm born to be free. That is Mark Putrino. Good morning, Mark Putrino.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
See that this Iranian president's helicopter got shot down?
It was crashed in the fog, not shot down.
Yeah, it's got Mossad written all over it, dude.
Dude, it was so foggy, man. They were walking around in the fog looking for it. Trust me, those fog banks don't lift. That was a straight accident. But you know, whatever you think.
Hey, man, they killed all those scientists.
Well, that's true.
So anyway, yeah, that's pretty wild. You would think that would have some kind of effect on the markets, but it doesn't look like it is. So, oil was holding in here. Found that 78.5 level, and it's been holding up ever since. So there we got our classic example of what was support turns into resistance, and then what was resistance turns into support. And who knows, maybe now we'll start to trend higher again. We did have this fast move lower here, so we know that when we get fast moves one way and we get back to those prices coming the other way, we tend to make a fast move back through them again. You can see that here. You can see it up here. So we could see it again right here. So there are some of these ETFs that you may want to think about to get some kind of exposure. This Direxon, they have a, see, what do they have? Oil and gas exploration. And we got another one too. Oh yeah, this energy, the Energy Bull ERX.
I had a friend of mine turn me on to Bob X on Saturday. I didn't realize that there was a 3 times Baba.
Yeah, well, yeah. What's the symbol? Do you know?
Bob X, BABX.
Oh, is it 2X? Yeah. Well, these Chinese stocks have been acting pretty well. Yeah, so just kind of going back to this energy thing here, because it looks like it might be catching a bid.
Did the members, you guys catch your video? It was a good one.
Did I? All right, so I guess we'll go just see what natural gas is doing. All right. Next stop, I would say it's probably around 272, which is only another 5 cents. But it looks like we just kind of ripped right through this level where there should have been a little bit of resistance, but there wasn't. But that could just be a sign of the action, which is good. Yeah. So yeah, it's ripping, man. It's pretty wild. I guess it's just part of the whole inflationary thing that we're dealing with. You see how President Biden keeps saying inflation was 9% when he took office?
Yeah.
You got to wonder, does he really believe that, or does he just blatantly lying because he thinks people will believe him?
Well, no, he's been lying so long that he just talks, and he thinks that anything he says is believable, and it's just that he just believes that everybody believes him, which is really sad.
Well, just for the record, it was 1.4% in January of 21. If you look at the CPI. All right.
Good morning, Avi.
See what the markets are doing here.
So you guys are getting everything cleaned up. It's looking kind of nice.
Where?
In Israel.
Yeah. All right. So here's our S&P. Looks like we're basically gonna pretty quiet, moving up a teeny bit. Really nothing too spectacular. So what we got to do now, right, is to see, does this come back in, or does it spend some time consolidating? And because things that go up fast can come right back down real fast. But if it goes up slow, makes a move, then spends some time consolidating, makes a move, spends some time consolidating. I know it's boring, but that's really healthier action than just like ripping higher, because things that rip higher will just rip lower. Speaking of ripping lower, let's see if GameStop's moving this morning. Up about 20 cents. So this low trade on Friday was about 1970. And when all this madness started, that's where it opened. So that Roaring Kitty, whatever his name is, came out over the weekend. So the move was on Monday, and the stock opened on that Monday at 26.34. Now it's at 22.47. So it's gone full circle, and it's probably going to keep going lower.
Man, these guys, I tell you what, they got an influence with those influencers, man. They've got a wad of people that'll follow them and they'll just dive right in.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
he's
incredible.
probably buys
He
it,
made
hypes it up, and then sells it to the people he's telling to buy it to.
he made millions these last 3 days.
How do you know?
I'm sure. I mean, look at the action in the stock. That's not stock that's healthy.
Yeah, he's hailed like this populist hero, but think of how much money people lost over the last week in this stupid thing. And now it's going to be like, oh, it's the hedge funds, or oh, it's the market makers. No, you're just guessing. That's what the problem is.
Look, that
And
series of videos that you put out over the last 4 days about this stock has been dead on the money, and people are watching them. So I think the more that you get your information out there and you get people understanding what's happening, the better off you'll be. So if you like that, smash the like.
all right, what else were we looking at here? I guess we'll go take a look through the various sectors and see if anything is really. Yeah, all right. So this would be important to watch here, right? This is an example of what I was just talking about here. Like, would what was resistance over here turn into support over here? And if it does, that's what sets the stage for a new move higher. And so far, it looks like it's holding in there, but it'll probably take a couple days to know. It's like when markets go up, they go up like a staircase. Um, they go up. It's like a series of trading ranges a lot of times. And what was the resistance in one range becomes support in the next range. All right, so that's tech. Well, I guess we can look at some of our tech stocks here. Yeah, see Microsoft, right? See what was support, kind of became resistance over here, only for 2 days. But now it looks like it's coming back to support. So that looks okay. We'll up a teeny bit this morning.
Powell's speech yesterday was a commencement at a university for graduating lawyers.
What was that?
Powell, when he was scheduled to speak at 2:30 or 3:30 yesterday, it was a commencement speech at a university, but they had it listed on TradingView.
Yeah, I think he has like COVID, and he did it.
Did it virtually, yeah.
He did it virtually. So lame. Yeah, all right. Now you see how Nvidia has hit resistance at the level that was resistance before. So this happens all the time. We run into levels. We run into a former peak, or we run into a level that was resistance before, and it becomes resistance again. And that's because you have people that bought at these peaks who regret doing so when the price goes lower. And they say if they can ever get out at break even, they do, or they will. So when it finally gets back up to their peak, these remorseful buyers placing sell orders can create resistance at the price level again here. And it's also, this is a psychological level. It's 950, which is, people like to sell and buy at nice round levels, and 950 is certainly fits the case for that. So that's and then sometimes we got to remember a resistance level is a level in the market where there's a lot of sell interest. So sometimes some of these sellers start to get concerned that they're going to miss out, and they start to undercut each other. And this is why we sell off of resistance. There's actually some interesting action going on over in small cap land over here. So let's bring up the Russell 2000. Right. So here we got our support back here around 212. And then look at where we got. Right.
Yep.
To exactly right there. So this could end up being kind of the same thing. We get to resistance and we sell off of it. So that's the Russell 2000. Then there's the IWC, which is the microcap ETF. And this one is pretty similar, right? Resistance there, came resistance there. Got a couple of our, this thing tends to make sharp turns. You see like this, whoosh, V, V. And then you have the 2000 value, which is this one. And this is right at resistance. So this could be a potential for a move lower here. And you can see, I mean, considering how much this gets traded, you know, it's $160 share price, trades over 1 million shares a day. But look at how precise these, you know, these support and resistance levels can be. It's really quite amazing, I think. You know, because I mean, this is 2,000 stocks in this thing, and all of these things have to come together at the same time. And yet somehow it does and finds these precise price levels. So pretty amazing. Oh, we got to look at Apple. All right, so Apple is kind of trading back around this. See, now this was the peak back here, around 189. Then it became support over here. Then it kind of blew right through it and going both ways here, but it seems like it's still pretty important. I don't think that this action negated this importance of this price level here. So it's not surprising that this is where we hit resistance. So these are the things we got to watch, right, to see if the XLK or the tech sector holds up. If Nvidia keeps trending lower and if Apple starts to kind of roll over here, coming off of this resistance, if Microsoft holds up here. So like the market's the sum of its parts. And I think the biggest part of the market is tech. And we just looked at the 3 biggest stocks. Oh, CVS moving up? Yeah, slowly. Slowly. But yeah, well, so I would say, right, so assuming people bought this, you got to start thinking about your stop out strategy. And also you got to do some little bit of research to see if there's news coming up, which I didn't do. As I usually don't do that unless I'm going to take a position. But anyway, as long as it stays above this trend line, I would just stay in it. So that's your what we would call a trailing stop strategy. You take a position, and now assuming you got a little bit of a profit on it, you want to protect that profit. So our target is way up here, which is only about $10 away. So it's not that far. But as long as it stays above this trend line here, then you just stay with it. If at some point it crosses the trend line, then that's where I think we would get stopped out. Some people do stop outs with percentages. Some people do them by points. For example, you buy it at 56, and if it gets to 58, you say, all right, if this reverses by $1, I'm going to sell it. So worst case scenario, you bought it at 56 and you're going to sell it at 57.
There was a headline there with CVS. They're going to make their own brands of chips. That second headline down, see that right there? Launch a snack brand with Well Market. I mean, I'm not sure if that'll move it immediately, but that's a good idea for their business.
Yeah, well, they already have this gold emblem stuff. It is launching Well Market, a consumable brand with snacks, drinks, and groceries. All right. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, CVS, it's like you can buy anything there.
Yeah.
Now we got to go take a look over at our financial sector. So this is some pretty good action here. All right. This is our financials breaking out over here. Of course, again, it's going to take a couple of days to know if the move is confirmed, but yeah, so that looks pretty good. Really, that's surprising. All right, so that's our financial sector. So that's some pretty good action there. I think one of the things that we really got to key on over these next couple of days is what goes on over here in the bond market, because this market is all about interest rates right now, and this could be an example of just like we saw with Nvidia. When something gets to resistance, it starts to sell off because you get these sellers that undercut each other, and there's resistance here because there was support back here. So people buying back here, trying to get out of break even over here. So now if they start to undercut each other, that's going to push our interest rates higher. And again, I saw this one guy, I forget the name of the firm he works for, but he was on Maria Bartiromo, Kenny Polcari. And he said what I've been saying. It's like, the market seems to be rallying under this narrative that the Fed is going to cut rates, but how can they cut rates considering how much inflation stuff we're seeing going on here? Here's our copper prices are soaring, our services and manufacturing prices were each up over 5% last month. And now if oil starts to get back in gear and start to move higher, natural gas is moving higher. It's pretty it's pretty frightening. And it's like it's really starting to get to people, because it's like, I heard some old lady at the grocery store the other day say like she can't afford to buy cold cuts anymore,
Yeah.
and it's
Listen, dude, a pound of pastrami is like $16 here.
yeah. I was at someone I know went to Del Fresco's, which is this nice steakhouse in New York City that I used to go to all the time, and the steak is $150. I mean, is that amazing?
My God, down here you could kill a cow and cut one out and not pay the fine that large. AMD and PayPal, please.
All right, well, let me just check out some more of these things.
$150. They're not going to be able to keep restaurants open. It's just that simple.
I agree. A place like that could probably stay up a little bit better because a lot of that is corporate money. People
Right.
using their corporate expense account. That's why I used to go there all the time. Never cost me anything. And but at some point, the corporations are just going to be like, wait a second, you gotta you spend a lot of money. Like this used to happen to me a lot. Like I'd go out to these trader dinners, and the bill would be like a couple $1,000. Then the next day, like they would call me up and be like, hey, what was the name of those like 6 analysts that came to dinner with us? So they could justify the bill being that high. Yeah, I mean, soybeans are starting to get back into gear.
PayPal and AMD if you get a chance.
Yeah, not much going on here. Pretty much unchanged in the pre-market, 64.5. So momentum's neutral, right in the middle of a range here. Assuming there's no news, which I don't know if there is or not, but no news coming out. It looks like it's just going to remain neutral for the time being. But for your short-term levels, you would just want to I don't know what your trading style is, but if I was trading this, I'd be just paying attention to right up here, which is like the most recent top, and then kind of right down there. So see how it was the closing price there and the opening price there. So that's like 64 on the bottom and 65 on the top. So it's like right in the middle of the range, of the recent range. What's OR?
No, or he's like, will you look at PayPal, AMD?
Yeah,
Look at it, or AMD.
all right, so what's this guy doing here? Traded up a bit in the pre-market. Now here you got this 161 level on the bottom. So, I mean, as a trader, right, the trend is your friend if you're long. But from a short-term point of view, this is where I would be thinking about maybe buying for a little bit of a rebound. And then, for a short-term point of view, this is where I would be thinking about selling or getting in on the short side if it gets to here and starts to roll over. Because just remember what we just talked about. Well, levels that were resistance can become resistance again. So there's a good chance that that happens here. And I don't know, big part of this though will be what the broader tech market does. So if we go back to the tech sector, if this holds and starts to move higher, then AMD will probably follow along with it. But if this rolls over and breaks, AMD will probably break that 161 level, and there would be probably a pretty decent chance for a trade on the short side there, meaning buying puts. Bros. Now this to me looks like this would be sort of a reversal pattern here.
When I lived out west, Mark, people would be wrapped around the building trying to get into Dutch Brothers before they went public.
Was it a restaurant?
It's a coffee shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, coffee and pastries.
Well, it looks to me like it's kind of set up for a reversal. So you see how like all these days are blue. So this just shows that the closing price was higher than the opening price. All right. Now it looks like the red team may have just taken over here. So this is just like a little bit of a potential reversal pattern up here. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be anything too dramatic. There's probably going to be some support right around 36. See where that was like the top back here. So good chance that there's going to be support there. And that's only like 85 cents away. So it's really not that big of a move. Probably not a tradable move.
And
SOL
so,
crypto.
yes.
Would that be this?
I want to say it's the Binance.
Yeah, I mean this to me looks like it maybe in the process of like breaking out. See, I would look like right there. See, support there and then like there. Then for the last 2 days it was resistance, but this morning we're moving above it. So I mean, I
Randy,
don't
what's
think you can look at
Solana used for?
any crypto without looking at what Bitcoin is doing.
If you don't mind me asking, Brandy, what is the purpose behind Solana? If you can chat it out.
Yeah, so there's Bitcoin kind of been moving up a little bit. See how this 61.2 level or 61.200 level has been really important for this. All right, so we looked at financials. Here's our healthcare sector. Yeah, so this is an example here of some pretty good action, right? So there was support over here, which became resistance here, but on this move we just blew right through it, and then we spent a couple of days consolidating, a little bit overbought, but I mean, this is good action after you make a big move like that.
Yeah, I know they all have a utility, but I wasn't sure what Solana was. Thanks for answering that for me.
All right, so that's healthcare sector. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it, man. I don't see this rate cut. Of course, maybe they will do it, but it would be pretty stupid. And people are saying, well, they would do it as a political thing, and they would do it in like September or October. But that's not. if they were going to cut rates to have some kind of effect on the economy before the election, they'd have to cut rates now, or they should have done it already. So I don't see it happening. And
Only unless he's going to juice the economy and try to win an election for somebody.
yeah, but all it's going to do is exacerbate the inflation. So it'll just make things worse,
But Marcus, this isn't about the future, dude. This is about the moment. This is about right now, today. Every decision they make is based on the minute decision, not the future.
Can't say I would argue with you.
D.R. Horton when you get a moment. There you go.
THI. All right. So, here's another one that just looks kind of neutral to me. Just kind of in the middle of this like recent range here. Momentum's neutral. Unchanged in the pre-market. So, yeah, I don't really see much going on here. But if you want to trade it, bottom, I'd be looking around 147. The top side around 157. 147 to 157.
It's this debt that's really getting scary. The debt is almost exceeding the amount of money that's paid in taxes. The interest is almost exceeding that now. So we're in bad shape.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And like what people don't even realize is we just take it for granted because the United States was considered the safest thing to loan money to or to buy bonds. But we're not AAA rated anymore, and there's a lot of countries that are. So there are countries that are considered safer than we are, and I kind of don't see a way out of it. I'm not like a super genius or anything, but it's just like I think in order to start paying down some of this debt, what could they do? Well, maybe default on it, on some of it.
Confiscate our money.
You'd have to have really increased the tax base, but you'd have to be making drastic cuts too. So I guess you can have the argument that if you cut taxes enough, maybe that would raise more revenue than it is now. But it's scary, everyone talks about the $35 trillion deficit, but if you look at the total debt, it's over $100 trillion of money that people owe. That's all the municipalities, credit cards.
Well, if you look back over here this last couple of years, the majority of these jobs have been government jobs that are made, not jobs in the private sector. So that directly is an inflationary thing. And so, honestly, I think they end up having to take our money to pay it off. I think they empty our bank accounts, honestly.
Well, I think they did that down in one of those, was it Venezuela or, one of those countries down there. They just took everyone's 401k plan and just said it was a tax.
Yeah.
All right. So what am I missing here? Let's look at Tesla. This is all right. Yeah. So we're kind of in the middle of a range here, too. It's not surprising because the market's been pretty quiet over the last couple of days.
We hadn't looked at Google or Meta either.
All right. So Google looks like it's pretty strong here, moving ahead. All-time highs. This looks pretty good. Facebook. And here we have our example of how we can run into resistance at what was previously a support level. And now this too looks like it's also kind of range bound here. All right, let's just go check the headlines here, see what's going on. Cocoa farmers. A new European Union law that aims to make chocolate more sustainable has left farmers Racing should map their plots as we've been kind of following. This cocoa market. Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that this thing is breaking down, and I think it goes lower. Unfortunately, there's really no way to get direct exposure to this, at least that I've been able to figure out. But if you look at the chart of this thing going back 45 years, and then look at what's happened
It's
over the last
incredible.
year,
That's
all the way up
incredible.
to here. So a move like this is not sustainable, and especially in the commodities market, because the commodities are different than stocks. If it gets high enough, the price gets high enough, people will just buy less, and farmers will bring more onto the market. So one way you can get some exposure to it is with this DBA ETF over here. See, so I mean, it's not that good of it. I mean, it's not a pure play, unfortunately, and it's not going to move nearly as much as cocoa is. But I mean, it's probably still going to keep going lower because what?
I was just going to say, I feel sorry for these farmers. I was noticing that they want them to GPS tag their cocoa bushes. And the regulation that they put on these farmers, it's hard enough to work a farm just to do the job than it is to have to go back and do all the other stuff that somebody that never has walked onto a farm tells you that you have to do to be able to safely run your farm. It's just a mess.
Well, I guess if it gets expensive enough, people will come and start stealing them.
Well, that's the problem is whenever you put all these extra regulations on the farmer, you drive the price of food up.
All right, so let's see.
If you get a chance, you should watch this Clarkson's Farm on Amazon with Jeremy Clarkson. Used to be on Top Gear. Incredibly good show, man, and it shows just how much regulation that at least Europe and England put on their farming community. It's kind of nuts. And we're right behind them.
I guess they have something to do with the rainforest too, or they're putting in regulations. But anyway, all that aside, I mean, I think that this continues to go lower, and I mean, geez, it's getting close to being down 50% from its high. All right.
For what, Avi? See that question mark?
Which for which one?
Which trade was that, in AMD or PayPal?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that there's really nothing going on here. It's just neutral.
It's just flattened completely in the middle.
Yeah, and then I would just think that around here, this might have a little bit of short-term importance because it was the closing price here and it was the opening price here. And then I would look at the former top, which up here. But we're only talking about 1 point here from here to here, so momentum's neutral. I just think, I mean, I don't know if there's any news coming out. Next earnings, so they've reported next earnings are in 72 days.
He just means in general, Mark. Yeah, basically when he's talking about that trend line that he makes is that whenever it breaks that trend line substantially, then that's when it's time to make your decision whether you're getting out of the stock or what you're doing with it. Right, Mark?
Yeah, like we saw in CVS.
Yes.
So there's your uptrend line.
Yep. Diagonal. You find 3 points of the stock and just keep your line. As long as it stays above that line, it hasn't broken the trend.
This is pretty wild that this guy died. Who knows what? Who knows if there's going to be any kind of big ramifications? I don't think their government is very stable.
Yeah, I don't think they have the opportunity to do anything about this. It was an accident. IonQ is a quantum computing play, Mark. Just saw a quantum right here across the top. IonQ, yeah. ANOQ. Or AONQ. No, excuse me, IONQ. Good Lord.
All right, so we've looked at this before.
Yeah, it's doing nothing.
But even though, I mean, I don't even remember the last time we looked at this. But you can just see that it got back to found resistance right around the level that was support before. A lot of times this happens. Like you don't look at something for a while, and then you get back to it, and you see how great the or how precisely the levels played out. All right, so if anyone has any questions, let me know now. If not, I got to get my daughter to the dentist at 9:00. But we'll be back tomorrow.
Guys, if you'd like to see anything added to the show, you'd like us to discuss different things, send an email to Mark or to me. I'm operations@stockmarketjobber.com. He is Mark at stockmarketjobber.com. Please like, subscribe, and share the stream. And I don't know if you've noticed, but in the bottom of the description on the videos that we put on the YouTube channel now, we have Mark's reading list. And also we'll be putting chapters in to allow you to skip parts of the video or to see exactly what's in the video so that you understand how long and where you need to watch it. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and, go out and kill the market. Just make a bunch of flipping money. Later, guys.
All right, everyone. See you tomorrow.